Coming to you live from the Business RadioX studio, it's Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by IDS, an award-winning digital marketing agency that delivers integrated marketing solutions for franchisors, franchisees, and franchise development teams. Learn why over 75 brands depend on IDS's team of dedicated marketers and client service professionals to deliver a strong ROI on their marketing investment. Go to idsfranchisemarketing.com for a complimentary digital audit and consultation.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Rob Ganley. Welcome back to Franchise Marketing Radio, the show where we explore the intersections of franchising, marketing, and technology. I want to welcome to our show today, Aaron Kosh. He's the co-founder and president of Garage Living. And I'm looking forward to really breaking down the business model and learning more. But welcome to the show, Aaron.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
You got it. So let's dive right in. Let's first get our feet underneath us and learn a little bit about the brand. Tell me a little bit about how it came about and how you what's unique and how you serve folks.
Sure. So we started our business in 2005, and that was at a time when HGTV, DIY, home improvement was a rapidly growing trend and definitely a very hot category. The garage has always been an area that's underserviced, often forgotten and underutilized. And there was a lot of attention being paid to the space at that time. And we really felt that there was a void in the market in terms of organizations that work directly with homeowners to maximize the space, improve it, extend the lifestyle of the home. And so we began serving clients in our local market and spent about 10 years doing that, refining our business model. And when it came time to determine how we were going to grow geographically, myself and my partners were excited about exploring the franchise model in order to expand our footprint and plant a bunch of flags in a number of cities across North America. And over the last 8-9 years, we've grown to over 50 franchise territories. So we're excited about it. And we definitely have a lot of runway left. So we expect to continue to grow at a fast rate.
That's, like I told you before the show got started, I was spending some time on your website and reading through it and thinking there's a lot that could be done with a garage. And as a guy, I'm like, yeah, I need to do more. It's like the way you framed it as being sort of that forgotten place. It sort of is. But if you use it right, it could be a whole new cool place. But there's some other things that you'll get into later about that's unique that I think you bring to people's attention about garage space and how to use it and get the most out of it. But let's talk a little bit about the DNA of franchising. Like you mentioned, what I think is the great American dream, right? I think franchising kind of is the business model that lends itself to that idea, because there you were in 2005 and your partners and you're thinking, we got a really cool business here. It works great. People love it. How do we make it big, go national, right? And then you start figuring that out, and then you find out about franchising. And I work on that side sometimes. That's not my core side of what I do as a consultant, but I do work with emerging entrepreneurs. And I love that because these guys are they just create something out of desire or a need and it's like, it was working good. It's like, yeah, I think we should expand, but you almost have to help the franchisor learn that process, right? In other words, help you guys learn that not everybody's like you. And if you bring people in as a franchisee, it's a little bit different because you have to afford them an opportunity that maybe they couldn't have done what you did in creating it, but they could certainly be successful running it. So there's that little bit of that. So tell me, when you guys made that decision, tell me a little bit about how you evolved early on and how that translated into the opportunity and making it the opportunity it is now, where it's just a proven model.
Yeah, and you raised a number of great points that I think a lot of people have to learn by doing in order to understand what it's like to transition from just a business owner. You can be a successful business owner into a franchisor because it's a completely different business and it's a completely different responsibility. And so, a lot of times, if you're making that transition and you are finding your initial franchisees, they're putting a lot of faith in you to work through all of the challenges that come with building infrastructure that doesn't exist until you have the need for it as a franchise brand. And so those early franchisees really get not only a ton of time and attention from you, but also they have to be patient as you really scale your organization. And that's something that doesn't happen instantly. It takes time. You have to invest in systems and people and processes and inventory, in depending on your business model. And once those things all come together, it makes for a really amazing machine that effectively supports franchisees at scale. Not only those individual early adopters, but many. And it allows all of our franchisees to grow their business, increase their efficiency in a much faster pace than they would have as an independent or just an owner operator of a local business. So it really is about learning what we needed to do as an organization. We knew how to support our local business. That wasn't a major challenge, but supporting a business remotely, supporting a business in a different market that we had to learn, supporting other franchise partners with their teams. It's an extension that's quite unique. So we went through a learning process in and of itself to really transform from just that one local business, which is now our corporate franchise, into an organization that is defined by how we support our franchise partners and how successful they are. So it really is a challenge, and it's really something you have to understand, because you can't continue to operate as a local business when so many people are depending on you for support that has nothing to do with the corporate operation.
Right. It's a very different, and I like that you said responsibility too. It's a very different but rewarding, extremely rewarding. I've never been a franchisor. I've worked very closely with guys like you, but I think it's very rewarding from what I have seen and can gather to be able to help someone else get into business and become successful. But it also requires what you said, patience and coaching and learning how best to communicate with others and learning how to recruit the best people to be part of your brand and being the visionaries that you guys are. It's different than just running the business. And you were running the business and you were really good at it, probably because of some of your background, right? Like some of the guys I meet that are franchisors many times do come from military backgrounds or backgrounds where they learned some really good skills and were then able to run a really good business. And then that question comes, how do we blow it up? How do we go national? Then you learn that it's different when you recruit franchisees, but still a big responsibility to see them flourish in their markets, their communities, their families, all of that. That's what I could go on and on about the American dream of franchising, but it is also hard to start a business, right? So we'll get into that a little bit about how you guys compete in local markets and who you're competing with and how that compares. But as I said, it's not the same thing when you're part of a franchise brand. So let me ask you, I had the opportunity just to hear about a couple of your franchisees. One gentleman is Mike Greco and another Kenton McDonald, and they're both from the military, but also Marines. And I wanted to talk to you about your perspective, both on how you recruit and also on veterans. I know we're just a little past Veterans Day this year, but always like to connect business ownership with certain skill sets, right? And I do know the military is certainly a good place potentially, but tell me more about that and tell me what's going on with helping veterans start businesses. I thought I read somewhere that trend is going down. Less veterans are starting businesses. So tell me a little bit about your feeling on that and how the brand feels about veterans and recruiting veterans.
Sure, absolutely. So I didn't serve myself in any military, so I don't have that experience. But I think that there are a lot of similarities between service members and successful business owners, and also the skill set that makes someone ideal for either a franchise organization or a small business. And I think it's really about the systems and processes and following systems and being very organized and methodical in how they do things. And really that, the military, as from what I've read and heard, is about that kind of structure. It's about discipline. It's about systems. It's about processes. It's about following directions and executing on plans. And people with that mindset that, they have a plan, they've articulated it very well, it's mapped out, and then they go about executing that plan down to the small details. Make very successful business people. And it goes beyond that. It's also, you may have the best plan in the world, but as I can imagine, during wartime or conflicts, those plans have to adjust, and you have to be able to think on your feet and find alternative routes to that end goal, despite, the best plan that you've laid out. So the ability to be somewhat flexible, even in a rigid environment, is critical. And we've seen, some veterans that have been fantastic that way, that are great problem solvers, that they can think strategically and execute, the best plans, but they can also deal with the challenges and the adversity when they're faced with it, and they don't become overwhelmed by an enormous hurdle that's put in front of them. They just think about it as, how do I clear this and get to my goal despite this obstacle?
Yeah, striving for, as you were talking, I was thinking the simplicity of strategy. Like, maybe could you share a little bit on that? Like, as a business, there are some key things that you just always have to keep in mind, right? I mean, serving your client, making customer satisfaction would be an example, right? But you have systems and processes, and sometimes, some days, some months, they just don't, like COVID. Like, let's just throw COVID out there. It kind of threw a monkey in a lot of people's plans, but ultimately how you react to that. So is there, like, every brand sort of has a culture, a vision, sort of key ideas that drive it. Is there something like that with you guys where
absolutely, we have
you fall back on it when you're
we have a mission,
like,
a vision, and a purpose, and then pillars that we sort of have created in order to really define our culture. And that's everything from passion and integrity and performance. And the things that I would say we fall back on when the plan gets thrown out the window are some of those things. So integrity is a huge part of that. And that is not just within your organization, but it's really all about, servicing your customer. You're not going to satisfy someone 100% of the time. There are going to be times when you have to disappoint someone because things happen that are out of your control. But if you approach the situation with integrity and you say, listen, I wanted to let you know that I'm facing this challenge. This is my plan to fix it. And here's what we're going to do to make sure that you're happy. We rarely have clients that are upset about that. It's when someone, I hope that this doesn't happen at all or very often within our organization, but it's when someone sort of doesn't address the issue, pretends that it doesn't exist, and then has to apologize for someone not being satisfied at the end. So, having integrity, being able to communicate. Life does not go as planned most of the time. And we've often said, especially during training, that if you're in a business like construction, where you have a client that expects things to go smoothly 100% of the time, they're likely going to be disappointed. And if that's their expectation, you really have to make clear that we can't guarantee that. What we can guarantee is that we're going to make sure that you're happy. And when there is an issue, we're going to be upfront and honest about it and explain to you exactly how we're going to address it. And when you take that approach and when you bring that into your culture as a key pillar, it really prevents a lot of those things from happening. And it's not just with our external partners like our clients, but it's with our own team members as well. So, everybody gets sick. Everybody has individual needs within their families. And if an employee has something that comes up that impacts the business operation, if they're honest about it and come to their manager and say, listen, I have this issue and this is what I need to do to deal with it. Great. Now we can make some other decisions that will allow us to accommodate you. So we work hard to communicate those pillars and our purpose, vision, and mission through our entire organization and even to our clients so that they really understand the type of organization they're dealing with. And when you have everybody on the same page in terms of how you expect to be treated and what your experience is expected to be, we have far fewer challenges.
Yeah. I spent a lot of years in sales and in marketing and different growth areas of business. And a lot of my years as in sales, I was successful. I was quite successful in different roles. And I was asked sometimes, and I thought about a lot, why am I successful? Like, I mean, other than hard work and maybe you hone your skills, but really what I always felt was that if I could do what you're saying, if I could be consistent, if I could follow through, if I could do what I said I was going to do, it wasn't about being perfect. It was about being trusted and following through and getting it done. So like that is something I think is often lacking in a lot of local business models, right? Because again, I said earlier in the show that it's quite difficult to launch a business on your own and a great honor to really be part of a brand that guys like yourself started way back in the very beginning of the very first business idea that you had, right? Before you even launched the very first one. So a lot of effort went into perfecting it. And that's a great opportunity to be a part of, to be successful. But the other benefit is because you're part of a brand and a culture, everybody acts in a similar way. And when customers see that and feel that, it's like something you can't convey. It's just happening sort of underneath. And it's just like, I don't know why I trust that guy, but I'll give him, I'm not mad. I'm going to go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt. And you're not always sure why that is, but I think it's that consistency they see in the business and everybody that's interacting with them and just doing the common sense stuff that we would all appreciate if we were on the other side. And I think, I often hear from home service providers that are brands that, and I wanted to ask you this now is, tell me about your competition. Tell me, I know home improvement. I like that you're a specialist, right? Tell me about how you compete in the marketplaces that you're in. What do you normally see? Do you see competitors that do a lot of things and some of them do garages? Do you see other specialties that focus that? I know there might be other franchise brands even, but tell me a little bit about the competitive landscape that you find yourself in and really what differentiates you.
Sure. I love answering this question because it's really what defines our business and defines us as an organization. So the way that we position our business is that we're not an organization that's simply just selling products and services. That's not who we are. We offer a lifestyle. And so what we are working with clients on is an opportunity to really explore what your space can become and what opportunities it has and what you envision the space to be once we're done working with you. So in the marketplace, as it relates to competition, there are a lot of service providers that literally are coming in and selling you products and services to either organize your space or clean up or store things better. And it's very products and service focused. What we do is very much lifestyle focused. So we want to understand, how do you plan on using the space? Do you have a busy family? Are you into particular activities? Do you want it to be a space that you're going to host people? We really want to understand what you need. So when we approach our opportunities, our leads, our clients, it's very much a consultative selling. And so we don't call our salespeople, they're actually design consultants. And that's the approach we take. We go in and we really consult them on what the design they need is in order to achieve that vision or in order to extend the lifestyle from within out. And then, when we look at competitors, whether they're other franchise brands or independents, it's very much about the products and services and, creating a space that oftentimes is sort of man cave focused and, very masculine. And we really try and set ourselves apart from that by saying, you know what, we are just simply an organization that focuses on transforming the space into one that is often dusty and dirty and overlooked and full of clutter into one that is an extension of your home and your lifestyle. And that approach really sets us apart. And it starts from our marketing and how we're perceived in just everything that we do to reach our target market, right through to the process of, a call or an email that comes in requesting more information or an opportunity to meet with one of our design consultants, through to the process of design and the quoting of what a project looks like, right through to the installation. So we do set ourselves apart that way. And then when the products and services come into play, as it relates to building a project out, we have exclusive products that are higher quality than what you'd see in the marketplace. Things that we've either designed or developed, or things that we've sourced exclusively. And so our projects typically look quite unique because they're not things that the entire market has to offer. And so in terms of what the competitive landscape looks like, there are other companies that are in our space that focus on the space like we do. I think that we do it differently. Oftentimes, they will use other products that are used in closets or kitchens to create the same type of solutions that we do. And then there are those companies in the closet and kitchen space that try and extend their product offering into the garage. So you see some of those companies compete in our space for that work as well.
Yeah. No, but I got to say, it hit me differently when I saw that on your site about using the space in a unique way, more creatively. Because the first thing I think of is exactly what you said: more cabinets, more organization, maybe take care of the floor, but that's really it. Not really thinking beyond that. Just better use of space. But when you think about it, it's a room you're probably underutilizing, and there's just a lot of impact to our lifestyles. I was just thinking, like, pulling out of my garage in the morning and seeing a mural of something I love, right? And like all the time. And when I pull in, I see it again. Like the little thing like that might be something you guys suggest because you're a sports fan and you have a picture of, maybe you're like Tom Brady and there it is, a painting of him. But I mean, I just think there could be a lot more to be gained. So I like that approach. At the end of the day, you're remodeling garages, but you're doing it in a very unique way. So let me ask you this. Let's break down the business side of it a little bit, just for those that are listening and wondering, what does this look like if I'm a business owner? What is the potential? So walk me through what success looks like. You have 50, I think, operating locations and quite a few owners that go into that. I'm sure you have some multi-unit owners, in other words. But tell me, what does success look like, and where would you like to see it go? In other words, how many clients do I have? Is it a big territory? I'm sure you're focused on certain areas of town and neighborhoods, but tell me what this looks like as a business. Is there one-time fees, residual fees? How does it work that way? How does success, if I look a few years down the road, what do I look like if I'm successful?
Absolutely. So we go back to when we started and how we've built our local business and our corporate franchise. And we cover an entire metro area. So we have one physical showroom and design consultants that will service the entire metropolitan area. And it's a fairly large geographic space. That's allowed us to grow our business into many millions of dollars in volume because we have the footprint and we have the runway to reach clients in all areas. So when we started to franchise and determine what territories look like, we wanted to make sure that our franchise owners could build a decent sized business without tripping over someone in an adjacent territory, or without having too few clients to really grow their business and develop the repeat and referral in the next town over or the next county over. So for us as an organization, we've carved up the map, so to speak, to allow for large territories. And that's unique within home services. Oftentimes, there are many individual territories within a large metropolitan area. But because we focus on a target market that typically is has much higher disposable income. I mean, we can be honest about the fact that the garage is not the top priority when it comes to home improvement. You're not going to, complete a garage project before you get your roof done, if that's what's needed, or replace a furnace or air conditioning unit. There are some key priorities there. So as a result, people that are interested in focusing on this space are not making the decision between doing that or this. As a result, there's a smaller market that we need more geography in order to reach more people. So success from the franchisees end is obviously, when we go through a business planning exercise, actually we're completing that right now for the 2024. It's financial, obviously. We're looking at the key metrics that are going to result in financial success for each of our franchise partners. And that looks like profitability, and it looks like growth, and it looks like things like closing ratio and all the metrics that you'd want to see on an operating level. But it also is about lifestyle. Our franchise partners need to be clear with us and put it in their plan as to, how much time they want to spend on a specific activity. Are they working 5 days a week? Are they working 7 days a week? Have they built the business to a point where they can bring in some additional staff to offset some of the responsibilities? So success looks different for everybody. Some people, we have franchisees that literally keep their teams very, very small and lean, and they take on a lot of the responsibility from the majority of the sales, from the design consultations and the administration, so that they can put as much money on the bottom line as possible. And then there's other people that want to grow their business and delegate those responsibilities and still be very profitable, but they need to grow the volume significantly in order to do that because you have greater overhead. So I don't think success can be defined by any one single metric. Obviously, in business, profitability is sort of the scoreboard, but it is definitely also lifestyle and how big they want to be, what they want to do within their communities, and what they're looking to do. As we know, in the franchise world, people look to sell their business eventually. So they're not just creating value by generating profits and withdrawing that from the organization. They're creating an entity that has intrinsic value to someone that they may sell to down the road. And so that is also really important and something we consider in terms of what that looks like from year to year. And so it is, if you're starting out, a business looks like, one person and a crew of two. And in a year's time or 2 years' time, that can be a staff of 5 or 6. And then, as they scale the business, it can be multiple vehicles, multiple design consultants, a showroom. All of the showroom is part of the initial step, but the showroom that is then utilized much more, and a brand that becomes well known within the local market. And that's, one of the signs of success, and when we're recognized as the leader in our space.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, just and I'll just go on and talk a little bit of what you said there, in the sense that people will miss the point of having the insight and the coaching and the support to build the right kind of business as you're building and long term. So if you don't have that going into your business, sometimes you make mistakes that last years, right? It can cost everything. And this is for the successful guys. This is for the ones that get there, right? It's like they get there and they say, well, I didn't really want this kind of business, or it wasn't quite what I thought, but they worked hard and they got there. So I think being part of a franchise brand, you can really reflect, whether it's quarter over quarter, year over year, on how you're doing against what you really want to achieve for you, right? But it sounds like the sky's kind of the limit, because you can scale a territory quite a bit, but then you can buy additional territories if you have that opportunity, which I think for most, it gives them that ability to, if they're that person that wants to really be successful, let's say, and I should use the word successful. I should say, if you're the kind of person that wants to have a bigger reach or bigger customers or more revenue, there's that opportunity for you. And if you're the kind that would say, I like the 4-day work week and I have happy customers and everything is good, I make great money, that one's for you. I think it's hard to do that in any other type of situation other than a franchise one because of the
Yeah,
support that's offered.
I would agree, and it's not just the support, but it's also the other set of eyes. So when you're in a business and you're an operator and an owner, you don't necessarily have the ability to take the step back and see yourself from the outside. And so being part of a franchise organization not only allows the franchisor to have an outside view of your business, but it also allows you to really reflect on your business as it relates to your peers. So, you talked about, evaluations quarterly. So we publish a scorecard quarterly for our franchise partners that show the performance, basically a P&L by percentage of their peers, and so that they can see, how are people doing things? What's their labor rate? What do their cost of goods look like? What's their overhead look like? But it's only valuable when they put it into the context of that business and how that business is made up. So, like I said, you can have a wildly profitable business in one column with a strong bottom line, but the owner operator is doing everything within that business and labor is extremely low. And as a result, that person is creating their own bottleneck or limiting their capacity because they're not bringing on individuals to help them scale. So we, in addition to that scorecard, where we're very clear about, how many staff they have, what the role of the owner operator is, how many design consultants they have, how many trucks they have on the road, to give people that context of what size of the business is and what the complexity of the business is. And, we often will reflect on that with our franchise partners, especially when it comes to planning, so that they understand, well, are you the limiting factor to growing this business? And if so, do you understand that? And are you content with that? Because, there's growth, which is great. Always the top line is great. And as a franchisor, we always want strong top line growth. That's how we generate our revenues. But it only is good for everyone, and it's only a win-win if you're delivering dollars to the bottom line as well. Because unprofitable franchise partners are short-term partners. And so to have long-term partners with long-term success, everybody has to be profitable. So we talk a lot about that, and we're very transparent about that. And that's not only within the organization, but with other outside factors as well, and really understanding what people are trying to do, what success looks like to them, and what the opportunity looks like. Well, at the same time, I don't want to, understate the fact that we want to maximize the markets that we're in. So we want there to be growth, and we want there to be certain size benchmarks, but the people are motivated by different things, and we take that into account and work with everybody on an individual basis.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, franchising in and of itself is such a unique opportunity. Like when you talk about being able to understand what your peers are doing, there are mastermind groups, there are franchises that do this. They provide, insight or groups for CEOs to be a part of, or business owners, and to learn from each other. And that's actually another kind of franchise that someone could run. But my point being is those services are not inexpensive. And so if you're in a brand, it's kind of built in. Like you have that peer support and that insight of what others are doing. And I love that you share those financials and help people understand what you can derive from that kind of information and move forward with it. So that again is not something you can get to outside of franchising. Let me just jump into a marketing question, because I love marketing. And I know a lot of people think of this when they get started in a business. So, and I probably know some of the answer to your brand, but I'd like to hear, when you first get started, tell me a little bit about that launch process and a little bit about how marketing and sales plays a role in growing that business, both initially and ongoing?
Sure. So unlike a independent small business, when you join our organization, or I would guess most franchise organizations, that marketing machine's already built. So it's literally about customizing a few things and tailoring it to the market, and then flipping the switch. That has become even more true with the focus on digital media. And so we can work on a lot of local marketing initiatives that may be within the first 3 to 6 months, but the digital marketing machine is turned on immediately. And once that's turned on, it can be even before a showroom's built out or all of the equipment's in place to execute on the projects. That generates opportunities immediately. And so having that resource ready to go the moment that you get started is critical. And it means that there's a far shorter delay in investing in a new business and starting, and when you're starting to generate cash flow. Yeah. And that's what's really, it's the speed at which you can do that and which you can turn on that machine that allows people to really get momentum quickly. And so, we've refined that machine over time. But again, having the digital assets, the digital support and infrastructure to do that makes it very easy for our franchise partners to get started quickly, so that they are not sitting and waiting by the phone and burning cash while they're waiting for opportunities to come their way.
Right. As a sales and marketing guy, I really love business models that give you all the angles. And some are built a certain way, and it is what it is. But when you talk about home services and it's something specialized like you guys, digital works great for that, especially things like Google, where people are looking for specific things, and you can marry that up and bring that through a process and deliver a lead to an owner or one of his team members. And for most people, they don't quite know how to do that. Like, technology, all this digital marketing related technology isn't something that people focus on unless they do. So when you come into a business, to have that built for you as a system is extremely valuable. And that exists for you guys. I can envision. But then, and you can confirm or add to this, but as I hear from many people in your kind of a business, it's really about the community, right? I mean, you start doing work for one homeowner. Of course, there's that viral effect inside the neighborhood, right? Which works great to your favor. And then, of course, there's ways that you can partner with so many people that serve homeowners. There's that element of generating business. So to have both sides, we have one automated system that's bringing you business, and the other is building you that ongoing business that doesn't cost as much, so the acquisition cost of your new clients is less, and overall that spells more revenue and more bottom line profit. So that's key, and I wanted to unpack that because not every brand can offer that, not every model will offer that, but home services and certainly a specialty like you would. But do you agree with that? I mean, I would think once people get going, that's the thing, right? The partners, the viral effect, right? The referrals.
Yeah, absolutely. So that there are short, medium, and long-term activities that you really have to put together into a successful plan. I'll touch on a couple of things that may be unique to our business, and that we have a few marketing challenges as we get started in any market or as a whole. The first is category awareness. So the garage space is still not on many people's radar. So they don't know that there are organizations like ours that completely transform spaces like the garage, or they don't know that these are possibilities. So we have a category awareness challenge that we work hard to address. That's the first thing. And then as we're getting started, we have a brand awareness challenge that not only are we teaching people that or educating people that they can use this space in a way they didn't envision or didn't know about, but there's an organization that works with you to make that happen. So when we bring those two things together, we generate opportunities. But you're 100% right. So you can flip a switch and get things started. And when we sit down to determine how that all works, it's very methodical. We have a business plan that determines, okay, based on the market size and based on the rest of our system, this is what your average order is going to look like within a range. This is what your approximate lead generation cost is going to be. This is what your closing ratio is going to be. This is what your qualification ratio is going to be. And when you take all those factors into play, we can figure out what is the revenue target. But in fact, we set the revenue target and then work backwards in order to achieve it using all those metrics. And it's just like you said, when you unpack that and you start to look at it, in the beginning, you're going to spend a lot more on lead acquisition, whether it's digital or direct mail or magazines or a whole bunch of different ways that home services focus. But as time goes on, that's going to go down because the cost of a referral, the direct cost of a referral, other than satisfying a client and, creating a raving fan, is very inexpensive. The cost of, our trucks being branded, beyond the initial fee is inexpensive to generate an opportunity. So yes, we focus on that. And we even plan that into our model to understand, okay, these are how many opportunities we need to generate from those different buckets in order to bring our costs down over time. And so it can't just be, okay, let's going to throw some money here and throw some money there and see what sticks. It's very much, okay, we know this works. We know what the average is across this area. This is how we're going to plan for it. And then we go and execute on that. But you're very correct in what you said in terms of, before we sort of get into the community and really work a lot of grassroots thing, we just need to get the ball rolling. And when you join an organization with everything in place that, allows you to set up a site and set up campaigns and, set up promotions right away, it kickstarts things and you can get moving really quickly.
Well, I loved your answer. Tells me you have some good marketers on your team, maybe yourself have that background too. But when you say brand awareness, the solution match, understanding that, to me, you have the right answers for those. And as long as you're aware when you're marketing, that's the beauty. Like, you may have not heard of the brand. Once I explain who we are, then it's like, wow, you're a big player. You're nationwide. You have, and it's a different sort of answer, but you got to be prepared to market that way and communicate that way for the benefit of your audience, so they understand. And I can understand what you said earlier too about we do things differently. So we have to get their creative juices going. But again, that goes into the messaging and knowing your ROI, knowing what you need to do to see that proper campaign working. I mean, having that type of support, the way you're talking to me, is tremendous. So I would just share that with the audience because I know what it's going to take. As you said, though, every market's going to be a little different, and you got to learn how to pivot and adjust. And I'll throw that word in. But you clearly know that these are the key points that make a success, and that's key. So before I let you go, and I know I've taken some of your time, I want to respect your time, and I loved having you here. But before I do let you go, I wanted to ask you: is there any advice? And you could frame this to someone who might be sitting on the fence, wondering, should I move on? Should I do something different with my life? Maybe they're in the corporate world. Maybe they're, some other situation, but they're thinking, what do I do next? Do you have any advice for anyone that's looking to start a business, or maybe for another business owner like yourselves, that when you started your franchise in 2005, maybe advice to another owner like that? But anything you want to leave with the audience before we go?
Yeah, sure. So if you're looking for a business opportunity that's not solely an investment, you're not looking to park money and be a passive owner and really have a passive. If you're looking to be an active owner operator in a business, make sure you're passionate about whatever you're getting involved with. If you're not, and if you're not passionate about cleaning windows, or passionate about cleaning houses, or passionate about serving great food or customer service, it's going to be a challenge day in and day out. And it makes every problem that you face that much worse. When you're passionate about something, it could be garage spaces, it could be cars, it could be food. and you're involved with it every day, that passion allows you to overcome whatever hurdles you face. And yeah, there are good days and there are bad days, but because you enjoy what you're doing, there are so many more great days than there are challenging ones. And that's what allows people to persevere through anything. And it's not work. It's not going to be, it may be hard and it may be long hours and it may be exhausting, but you're going to be enjoying yourself. And when you're not, that's when you start to question, well, is this really what I want to be doing with my life? And so I would really caution people to take that time to investigate something and say, am I going to enjoy doing this? Am I going to enjoy doing both the activities, but also just, what I'm surrounded in? And what we find specifically is that, people that love interacting with other people and seeing projects, from start to finish and seeing that transformation and hearing about customers who are thrilled with the overall project once it's completed, and then moving on to the next one. When they're passionate about the space, whether it's the cars, real estate, all of the elements of our business, they're the most successful. And again, it allows them to overcome any challenge that they may face at any given point. So I would leave, it's easy said, passion follows success, but when you're looking at businesses, and again, there are thousands of different franchise models out there, if you're going to be involved with it day in and day out, you better love what you're doing. Otherwise, it's going to feel like an uphill battle all the way.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and I think that's, the idea that I love what you said about starting and finishing projects, right? And then people being pleased with the result. I think that can be played out in a lot of businesses and a lot of models, but that really is important that you care about that, right? You care about the impact you're making on people. They care about it. That's part of why they talk about it and share it with others. But that to me is that's why you get up every day, right? The money will follow, right? And you really to me, it just becomes an extension of what you want to be about, right? What you want to how you want to make an impact in the world. But that is true. Take the time. Don't jump in. It's not just about money. I'm sure a lot of us older folks know that after we've made some or been and done things we didn't like and realize, I'd rather just enjoy what I do more than anything. So that's beautiful. I appreciate you sharing that with the audience. And I do appreciate your time today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, Aaron.
Thanks very much, Rob. It's been a pleasure dealing with you.
You got it. I just want to thank my audience and encourage you to reach out to Aaron and his team at Garage Living. Aaron, do you want to leave the best way to do that, the best website or where they can visit?
Absolutely. The quickest way, easiest way to find us is garageliving.com. You can find all of our individual locations. You can send a general email in if you're looking for something specific, or if you want to reach out to your local market, all of our locations are listed there, and you can get in touch with someone directly. So garageliving.com is the easiest and fastest way to get in touch with us.
Appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and bye for now.